Present verb conjugation in German is the modification of a verb's form that expresses facts, repeated actions, a list of actions, and schedules and timetables. The present tense is one of the easiest tenses with a simple conjugation pattern because the present in German doesn't have any progressive tenses. To conjugate verbs in the present tense, we have to understand how to identify German verbs. A verb is a word that shows an action, and regular German verbs always have an infinitive form ending in, sometimes just in. Lernen, machen, sprechen, gehen, spielen, sagen, arbeiten, sehen. These words are infinitives, the basic form of verbs without conjugation in any tense. The best way to recognize them is to see the time change in a sentence, which combines with the personal pronouns ich, du, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie. The conjugation pattern for verbs in the present tense goes as follows. We remove the n ending and get the verb stem. After doing so, we have to add the correct present tense endings. For ich, we add e. For du, we add st. For sie, es, add t. For wir and sie, add in. For ihr, add t. These are the endings for regular verbs in the German present tense, and you can notice that wir and sie will have the same form as the infinitive, and that sie, es, and ihr will have the same ending, so context will tell the difference. This is how present conjugation works for regular verbs, but German has irregular verbs, which is a topic for the next video. In this video, I'm simply explaining regular verbs. Let's take the verb lernen. To conjugate it in the present, we remove the n ending, take the verb stem, and add the correct endings. Ich lerne. Du lernst. Sie, es lernt. Wir lernen. Ihr lernt. Sie lernen. This is how lernen is conjugated. Now, let's take the verb machen. To conjugate it, remove the n ending, take the verb stem, and add the correct endings. Ich mache. Du machst. Sie, es macht. Wir machen. Ihr macht. Sie machen. Take the verb gehen. Ich gehe. Du gehst. Sie, es geht. Wir gehen. Ihr geht. Sie gehen. Take the verb spielen. Ich spiele. Du spielst. Sie, es spielt. Wir spielen. Ihr spielt. Sie spielen. Take the verb sagen. Ich sage. Du sagst. Sie, es sagt. Wir sagen. Ihr sagt. Sie sagen. This is how verbs get conjugated in the German present. However, there are some spelling rules for regular verbs that improve pronunciation, and they must be known. If a verb stem ends in de or te, we add an extra e before the endings st and t, and this improves pronunciation. One verb is arbeiten, whose stem ends in te. While this verb mainly follows regular present conjugation, the pronouns that involve the endings st and t will have e before. So arbeiten will conjugate like this. Ich arbeite. Du arbeitest. Sie, es arbeitet. Wir arbeiten. Ihr arbeitet. Sie arbeiten. Notice that the extra e separates the consonant endings because without it, the pronunciation will be nonsensical, which is why we add the extra e. A different verb is finden, whose stem ends in de. Ich finde. Du findest. Sie, es findet. Wir finden. Ihr findet. Sie finden. The extra e is a significant spelling rule to know. Moreover, German has another spelling rule for regular verbs in the present. If a verb stem ends in s, sz, z, or x, we drop the s from the pronoun du. Normally, verbs take st in the du pronoun, but with these verbs, they drop s and take t instead. One verb is heißen. Ich heiße. Du heißt. Sie, es heißt. Wir heißen. Ihr heißt. Sie heißen. By removing s, some conjugations blend with others, so context will tell the difference. Another verb is sitzen. Ich sitze. Du sitzt. Sie, es sitzt. Wir sitzen. Ihr sitzt. Sie sitzen. Another verb is boxen. Ich boxe. Du boxt. Sie, es boxt. Wir boxen. Ihr boxt. Sie boxen. Notice that in all of these, if we had the s for the du pronoun, the pronunciation would repeat too many s sounds, which is why it's removed. This is how this spelling rule works. The last thing to know about regular present verb conjugation is verbs with separable prefixes. In German, some regular verbs have separable prefixes, known as trennbare Verben. When conjugating such verbs, their prefix will move to the end of the conjugation. This means that a verb like anfangen will be conjugated regularly, but its prefix will be placed at the end of every conjugation. Also, a few conjugations will have an umlaut to make the pronunciation simpler. Additionally, a verb like aufmachen will likewise have regular conjugations with the prefix at the end of every conjugation. This is how separable verbs work, and it's the last thing to know when conjugating verbs regularly in the present. After knowing regular present verb conjugations, the best way to utilize verbs would be in basic sentences. While you can make some examples on your own, let's have some phrases that utilize the verbs that I showed previously. Ich lerne Deutsch. Du machst die Hausaufgaben. Arbeitet im Büro. Wir tanzen jeden Freitag. Fragt viele Fragen. Sie spielen Fußball. This is how verb conjugations work in context. Another way to utilize regular verbs is in yes or no questions. Asking questions using regular verbs is not that hard because we place a conjugated verb before a subject to make a question-like tone, thereby making the inverted sentence pattern. Some examples are: Lernst du Deutsch? Ja, ich lerne Deutsch. Arbeitet heute? Ja, arbeitet heute. Macht ihr das Essen? Ja, macht das Essen. Spielen Sie im Park? Ja, sie spielen im Park. Another effective way in which regular verbs can be used is in W questions, where the subjects are placed at the end of sentences, like Was machst du? Ich mache meine Hausaufgaben. Wo arbeitet sie? Sie arbeitet im Büro. Wann tanzen wir? Wir tanzen morgen. Overall, this is how regular present verb conjugation works in German, and in the next video, irregular present verb conjugation will be explained.